Hi guys, welcome to Unit 7, Lesson 7, Volume of Composite 3D Figures. Okay, so I know when it came to surface area, composite 3D figures were like, this is too much, but volume's not too bad, okay? So really what we're doing is we're finding the volume of figures separately and then just adding them back together once we find them, okay? I figured we've already gone over how to find the volume of all these different figures, so now let's put it all together and let's go straight into examples. So with this first example, it's number 2 from your practice. So we've got this like little cereal box looking figure, and then really I did not draw this well. This should be more cube-like than what it is. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. So let's do them separately, like I said, first. So first let's focus on this little one, okay? So I'll just call it the little box, okay? And to find the volume of any rectangular prism, we're doing volume is equal to length times width times height. So with this particular box, we've got a length of 1, a width of 1, and a height of 3. So we have 1 times 3, which is just equal to 3. And these are feet, so we would say feet cubed. For the big one, which, like I said, it should be a cube, I just didn't do a good job drawing it. We could do length times width times height, or the cube is also found by, well, yeah, let's just focus on that. Length times width times height for that one as well, which it's got a length of 3, it's got a width of 3, and a height of 3. So really we are looking at 3 times 3 times 3. Well, 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So 27 feet cubed. And then we're just going to combine them. 27 plus 3 gives us 30. So the volume of this composite figure would be 30 feet cubed. Okay? So see, not nearly as bad as surface area. Okay? For number 2, it's also equal to number, not equal to, it is number 4 on our practice. Now, it says, what is the volume of the box? It talks about it being a cheese box and stuff like that, but I didn't write that down. Now, one reason why I chose this one is because it was a little misleading. Like, it did show this part being shorter than this one and stuff like that, and I was just kind of like, I didn't like it. But we're also assuming that both like sides of the box are identical, okay? So really there are 2 triangular prisms on either side, and then there's a big rectangular prism inside, okay? So we need to figure out both. So for the triangular prism, okay, remember the volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. So first we need to find the area of the triangle, okay, which is 1/2 times 15 times 8. So this is, I'm considering this is my base and that is my height, okay? But there's 2 of those, right? There's 2 of those. But then also the height of the prism itself. So this is the area of the base, but then it's being multiplied by the height of the prism. Well, that's also 8. So we're going to do times 8. Now, but that whole thing, we're going to multiply that whole thing by 2 because there's 2 of them. Okay? Now, 1/2 of 2 is 1. So those technically cancel each other out, and we're just left with 15 times 8 times 8. Now, with that, let me see here. Let's see. We've got 15 times 8 times 8, that gives us 960. Okay? And so I'll show that there's 2 of those. 960, it looks like we're dealing with centimeters, so this would be centimeters cubed. For the rectangular prism, that volume is length times width times height. So the length is 30. The width, that would be 15. Okay, that's this guy here. That's the width of it. And then the height is also 8. So let's see what that is. $30 times 15 times 8. Ooh, 3,600. 3,600, and we're dealing with centimeters cubed. And again, our last step is just to add everything together. So we've got 3,600 plus 960. Let's see, adding those up, you get 4,560 centimeters cubed. That's a big block of cheese. Okay? Good. All right, we got one more. This is number 3 on your quick check. Okay, number 3 on your quick check. What is the total volume? In the problem, it talks about it being like a dollhouse or something like that. But in the long run, we're doing the exact same process. We're figuring out everything on its own, and then going from there. So, with that, let's see here. We have 2 identical triangular prisms, and then we've got 1 large rectangular prism. So similar setup to the one that we just did. Okay, so 2 triangular prisms. Well, again, the volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. But we have 2 of those. So we're going to take that whole thing and we're going to multiply it by 2. So let's see. The area of the base, so the area of a triangle is found by doing 1/2 times the base, which in this case is 8, times the height, which is 6. Okay. Oh, why did I write 2 6s? There we go. Okay. The height is 6. Now, I don't know what I was doing. So that is the area of the base. That's that whole thing. But then the height, that's 10 inches. Because this is 10 inches, that also means that this is 10 inches here. So we're going to multiply all that by 10, and then multiply the whole thing by 2. Just like the last one, because we have 2 of them and half of 2 is 1, those technically cancel each other out. Now, we could deal with it later, or you could have done half of 8. It doesn't matter how you apply that. But really, we're doing 8 times 6. Well, that's 48. Times 10 is 480. We're dealing with inches, so that would be inches cubed. But now we need to do the rectangular prism as well. Well, the volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. Now, we know, let's see, I called this the width earlier, so we'll keep that. That's 10 inches. The height is 12. But the length, well, let's see here. This right here is 8. This is 8, so that's 16. This 2 also applies to this right here. So the length would be 18 inches. And then we'll just multiply them together. So let's see. 18 times 10 is 180 times 12. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. Let's see here. 180 times 12, that gives us 2,160. And then we're going to just combine them. So let me add 480 to that. That gives us 2,640, and we were talking about inches cubed. There we go. Okay, so that would be your final answer. As always, if you need extra support, you just let me know, and otherwise have an awesome day.